So I want you to think about, if you know what you want and you've got the mindset and the commitment to get to it, what's it going to take to get there? Are you going to stop and ask for directions on the way there? Do you have people that you're modeling? Do you have people committed to your success? Are you working with people on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to get there? Are there measures for your success? What does it look like at the end of the day? And are you measuring yourself to attaining it? If it's property development, if it's personal development, it's me. But if it's property development and investing and it's Melvin, do you have a Melvin on your side? Do you have someone that's helping you with that? If it's events and event management and international recognition and so on, dealing with businesses in Asia, Australia, do you have a Roy on your side? A Bond International? Do you have a team? If it's LinkedIn, do you have a Linda on your side? And so on. Does that make sense? And if it's not, then what are you doing? Are you hoping and praying to achieve your success? There's nothing wrong against hope and prayer. They're good. Actually, on this point, do you meditate? Do you meditate on your success? Do you spend time every day visualizing what that success looks like, creating those connections, and give it a bit of mindfulness as to what I want to achieve, and this is what it's going to look like when I achieve it? This is powerful. People ask me a lot about meditation because I teach mindfulness even in the corporate workspaces. This is one of my remedies for corporate stress. It's one of the things that got me out of that and got me into the path that I wanted, is meditation. And I say, if you pray, it's talking to God. If you meditate, it's listening to the voice of God. And if you're not religious, that's okay. I just come from Russia. I thought they're the most religious country because they've got so many beautiful churches. They're not religious, and that's fine. And so if you're not, and you're a scientist, do you have a time that you connect with the universe and the universal energy that drives the planet to hear the intelligence of that universal energy, to direct your dreams? Because everything in the universe is conspiring with you. But if you don't connect with it, you could very well feel like it's conspiring against you. We've all had those days where we feel our world is upside down, but meditating, even if it's 10 minutes a day, can actually allow you to not only visualize your future and where you want to be, but to be a visionary leader, like those leaders that I said have a 10-year plan plus. The Steve Jobs, they didn't get to where they got to without being visionary leaders. He knew before anybody else had a device that could have the internet at its access, that could have a camera, that could have all this. He knew what he wanted. That's a visionary leader. That's incredible. That's specific. First he came out with the iPod, and then it turned into the iPhone. But he knew what he wanted. I think if you watch one of his earlier videos, he says, imagine a world where people have the internet in their hands to access, have the capability of accessing a computer in the palm of their hand. And he added to it, he said, and it's going to be as simple as something that a child can use. I think children my 3-year-old is better operating this device than I am, right? It's only got one button, and it can't get more simple than that, and a touch screen. And so visionary leaders are the people that are the game changers in this world. Do you want to be a visionary leader, or do you just want to be somebody who is coming up against the day-to-day life and the struggles of life, and then doing this, the palm to the head, and going, oh, maybe it's just not my day, or maybe it's not my life. Your life, it's not a dress rehearsal. We don't get to do this twice. We only get to do it once. So have the best life you can, be the best version of yourself, and that's all I have for you today. Be inspired. Thank you.
The internet the IT will grow so fast, and no one will actually be able to actually do data.
Right.
So that's why I actually choose the core statistics. And then we have gone through one round of industrial revolution. The next one will be AIR. The next round, artificial intelligence revolution. Okay. So I always actually know, I tell my client that if you don't find air enough, your company will struggle to find air. Then you will face the consequence of this artificial intelligence revolution. And I always tell them, I say that the tagline to sell to you is get your customer close, get your competitors even closer.
Beautiful.
Because if you don't do that, your competitors will actually get you very close to the point that you don't know why your business is actually going like that.
Yeah. And that adds to my point of collaboration, but it's also about staying in the head with time and not falling behind, understanding that we're moving towards a time in the world of artificial intelligence. You can embrace that. One of the ways I'm embracing that, who knows about the Japanese culture, work culture? They're very disciplined. They're one of the most disciplined cultures and workforces in the world. And they're not a place where I need to go and do a corporate presentation about discipline, because they've got plenty of that. And they've actually taught the world a lot about Kaizen, Six Sigma. These are some of the things that we embraced in Australia, thanks to the lean manufacturing and the things that they do in Japan. But what they're currently doing, the Japanese are so disciplined and so into their work culture that they live, in some cases, at work. And so that makes it harder and more, I guess, challenging for men to connect with women and to build relationships. So somebody on the AI end started creating dolls for men to have as partners. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, this sounds like a good Band-Aid fix, a solution of some kind. In my mind, with what I want to create, which is more human connection and more human connectivity or humanity, if you like, this is a disconnect for humanity. Because imagine where that culture is going to head in terms of how do they then continue their generational growth, become fathers. You can't become a father to a doll as the mother. It's just not going to work. And I'm keeping it clean by saying doll. You can add sex at the front of the doll part. And that's all it's there to serve, is that purpose. But what about the meaningful connection? What about the arguments? What about, that a wife would give you? the mental stimulation, the challenges. And we need that support and challenge to be able to grow. So my thoughts are I want to do talks in Japan to help men gain the confidence to build better relationships with women.
And they are very result orientated. Because I was actually from Rakuten, Singapore, before they dissolved.
Yep.
For that 2 years there, it's not easy.
Yeah.
They say, I want result.
Yes.
So I increased the ROI by 200% by using my predictor campaigns.
Great.
So they really actually are very result oriented, very disciplined.
Perhaps you can help me with my marketing approach.
Sure.
Right? Results orientated too at times. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Great presentation.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I have a question that is slightly of a different perspective.
Sure.
So with all these role models and videos you can access online,
Yes.
you tend to try to avoid any failures.
Yes.
So do you think that actually you have to have some failures before you actually attain what?
Very good question. And it's actually right on par, right on cue. It's a great question. You gotta, if you're gonna role model anybody, role model the people that have tried and failed. Because at least they're gonna tell you from both perspectives. If you just base it on someone who's done it and done it and done it and succeeded all the time without failure, he'll show you how success looks like, but he won't be able to help you pick up if you fail. To me, I had to reframe failure because on the beginning of this journey, I felt like I failed. And I'd failed in an area that was to do with family. It was a relationship that I had for 10 years and it broke down and I felt like a complete failure. Once I started on this journey, I reframed what failure meant to me, and failure meant to me feedback. And the moment I changed myself from going, I'm a failure, and beating myself up, to saying, I have received feedback that those things that I did didn't work, then I started to readjust my calibration and go, okay, well, what can I do that will work? And I am responsible for governing my actions and my outcomes. So I started on that course. I think it's very important to understand and to embrace the opportunity to fail, but not set ourselves up to fail. If you have a plan and if you have the mentors and you have the right people on your team, you've got more opportunities towards success rather than failure. But if you meet any level of failure, you can change it to this is a speed hump, not a roadblock. You can change it to this is feedback not ultimate failure. How can I learn from it? How can I improve myself and what I'm doing? How can I improve the team's approach towards this? What do we need to do to attain the outcome that we want? So that's my response to that. The other part to that is there's so much out there online. We are in an information age, information era. I think it's over-information. A lot of people go, it's good to have information because it's awareness. Awareness without the solution is pointless. You've got to have the awareness, and then you've got to have some meaningful description to the awareness for it to be meaningful. Does that make sense? So yes, we've got so much information out there. I spoke to people that are coaches starting out in the industry, and I said, who's your coach? And they said, I don't have a coach. And I go, so you're in the coaching industry trying to sell coaching to new clients, but you don't have a coach. Oh yeah, but I've got all this information online. And I said, what's stopping your clients to say the same thing to you? You've got to have a coach. You've got to have a mentor if you're in the industry of coaching and mentoring, or else it just doesn't make sense. Then you're not buying what you're selling. If I'm selling water, I've got to be drinking that water, or else I will never sell it. So why is it any different in any industry? So you really got to think about that and understand information age. We're actually bombarded. There's so much information out there. This is probably why meditation is a good thing as well, to try and calm that down, because we've got stimulation. Do we have time for any other questions?
One last question.
Sure. Yes, sir.
How can I engage you?
How can you engage me? Okay. And
I think entrepreneurship is about raising through challenges, and a successful entrepreneurs will know the true value of who us.
Thank you.
Yes.
So you strike me as a successful entrepreneur because you're
Because
approaching.
I
Is that
know
what you're
that
saying?
for the past 5 years, I've attended all these talks,
Yes.
networking.
Yes.
And I know what you have mentioned. I know I need to.
Thank you so much. Well, can everybody please give him a hand? Thank you. So firstly, thank you because you're an individual who's obviously keen on becoming a visionary leader. And how can you visualize your future if you can't even visualize who you're going to work with? So well done. Thank you. I honor you for that. I paid him, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I actually don't know your name. What's your name?
Anthony.
Anthony, nice to meet you. So I actually leave that out of the presentation because I don't want to sell you anything. Roy didn't engage me and invite me to come here so that I could be a salesperson on stage, but I will connect with you offline as soon as I finish and give you my details and work with you. I want to work just a little bit more, if I've got 2 more minutes, on this particular point. So many people, I've met so many of them in Australia, are information junkies, seminar junkies. I say junkies because it's like getting a drug hit, They attend all these seminars, these workshops, these talks, but they don't do anything with it. And they think that something magically is going to happen, I don't know, maybe through AI or some sort of artificial intelligence in the world, and it's going to change their life. Nobody can change your life unless you take action like Anthony and recognize what do you want to do and engage someone and work with it. So all these seminars, they're great. They present great ideas. They give you networking opportunities. They give you great things to work with. But the best thing I can leave you with as a last sort of departing note is, if you don't do anything with the information you've been given or the knowledge that you have, how can you say you know it? Because a lot of people that I speak to say, I know this stuff. Okay, do you apply it? No. How can you say you truly know something if you don't do it? So everything I've learned over the last 10, 15 years from a personal development, from a business perspective, from a network, I've applied every day. If I don't apply it, I feel like I'm a fraud. How can I talk about this stuff? How can I share it with you if I'm not applying it every day? So my saying that I've come up with this, I'm yet to patent it and write it as a quote, is to know and not to do is not yet to know. It's kind of like to have and not to give is not yet to have. If I've got all the money in the world but I'm not practicing giving and philanthropy and sharing it, then I don't really have, because I'm constantly from a scarcity mentality and all that money is not enough. Does that make sense in terms of a monetary example? Because we can all relate to that. So to know and not to do, if I have all this information in my head and all these ideas, but I'm not applying any of it on a daily basis, then how can I say I know it? I've never practiced it. It's like me saying I'm a doctor because I have a certificate on the wall, but I've never practiced a day of medicine in my life. Am I really a doctor? And so thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. And thank you all for your attention. And God bless you.